Royal fans have blasted Meghan Markle for making a major mistake on a Spotify podcast. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, an archetype is defined as a typical example of something, or the original model of something from which others are copied. It can often refer to a classic character from old stories and myths that have been passed down over the years. Examples of these can be a hero, villain, or even a lover. Meanwhile, a stereotype is a negative label, with the Cambridge Dictionary stating it is a set idea that people have about what someone or something is like, especially an idea that's wrong. However, sharp-eared listeners believe Meghan has mixed up the definition of archetypes and has instead been discussing stereotypes. And fans took to Twitter to slam Prince Harry's wife over the blunder. One fumed, "Not listening to any Spotify podcasts until you stop giving Meghan Markle a platform to have a go at whoever she feels crossed her in life." Also, she's talking about stereotypes, not archetypes. She's yet to give an example of an archetype. Another added, "Seems like Meghan Markle's podcast is about stereotypes, not archetypes. She no doubt wanted that name because of Archie, but if it's wrong, it's wrong." And a third pointed out, "You do know that hashtag Meghan Markle is discussing stereotypes, not archetypes, don't you? Poor Thomas Markle spent a fortune on a private education for his daughter for this." It's reported that at Spotify, apparently even the staff refuses to call Meghan's podcast Archetypes, since as we know, she hasn't talked about a single archetype yet. Supposedly at internal meetings, Spotify staff calls the show Stereotypes. Meghan Markle's Spotify podcast Archetypes hit the ground running from day one, and no one can rightly say otherwise. From the very first podcast to others down the line, Meghan and her team have used tidbits of her life to drive the episodes on. But mostly it's the drama that sells, and in between dissecting the labels society sometimes heaves upon women, she's talking about her personal life at home with husband Harry and 2 children. From a fire in Archie's nursery in South Africa to declaring that she's actually 43% Nigerian, Meghan has continued to make headlines every week with each new episode of the podcast. Why use the dramatic approach to marketing? Well, people simply love drama. It's why most of us naturally prefer movies to documentaries. And Meghan Markle knows how to bring it. Body language expert Judy James analysed Meghan's approach to a podcast series, saying, "Meghan's life story seems to be dropped in many parts each week on a podcast. Each one that comes out seems engineered to reveal some new detail or fact of her life. And it's those reveals that seem to hit the headlines even more than the points she's discussing." They also seem to promote the feeling that we're being invited to get to know her piece by piece, like a huge jigsaw puzzle. As for the podcast episode featuring Issa Rae and Zue, Judy James said that the clues left on it were rather interesting ones. With this podcast, we get 3 key Meghan reveals or glimpses, although these ones are much lighter on their tears and sadness over her own suffering and pain, and even more upbeat and positive or more suitable for the gossip mags, James commented. The story of Harry reading to Meghan in bed was seen as a significant one by the expert because it's very rare to hear about the bedtime rituals of a member of the British royal family. This is possibly the first time a UK audience has ever been given any glimpse of any royal and their bedtime habits, since Michael Fagan broke into the late Queen's bedchamber and she was there alone.